I asked Allan Salas to describe with few words the meaning of this work, and he said pain, grief, family, lost, and I will add death. Welcome to this episode of the Small Photo Book Cult, and here we are with Allan Salas.
Thank you for having me, Gauri.
I was scared that you didn't reply. We are here with Allan Salas. Silence.
Complete silence.
Okay. So I met Allan in a festival. Almost like always, I'm gonna say all the time that the same thing, that I met people in festivals, and but I have to say that it was a special one. We were exhibiting both in Kranj Photo Fest. Thank you so much, Fernanda, for choosing me and Allan and other photographers like Mattia Benguigui and Mohamed Kilito. And we were all together there, and it was really, really an amazing situation, I have to say. Right, Allan?
I'm sorry. Yes, it was an incredible festival. I had the time of my life at Kranj, to be honest. And it was beautiful. It was the first time I was in a photo festival in my life. And it was really beautiful that it was this intimate space in which we could get to know each other, see each other's works, and talk about the things we were working on.
It was the first time that I knew you, and the first time that I saw your work. I remember I saw the pictures on the wall, your pictures of your project, and I thought, I can feel something related to your project. But I have to say that when you introduced the work 2 days later, and I hear you speak about this work, it was really, really strong.
I think it's... Go ahead, Gary.
No, go.
Yeah, I think it was an interesting situation because it was the first time I spoke publicly about this work or with other people in a room, and it was pretty intense emotionally, I would say. If you want, I can start talking about the work. I began this book. I think that the time frame for me, it's a little bit confusing because of COVID and everything, but I think it was at the end of 2020. There were a lot of things happening in my life, and in December, 3 really meaningful events happened, which was the death of my grandmother. She was super old, 99, 2 weeks short of turning 100, and her heart just stopped working. And then a week later, my aunt, she was hospitalized because of COVID, and my dad had a heart attack at the same time. So it was a really rough situation in general, and my aunt ended up dying as well, and my dad is the only one who survives. And after this, let me see, I had to stay at home with him and, take care of him with my brothers and my mother. And after some months, when he was feeling better, I remember I just decided to leave because I was feeling overwhelmed by everything that happened, and I hadn't had time to process anything. So I left to a place that had significant importance in my childhood, and there is where I began to work on the book.
Yeah, we can say the title of the book, but that we still didn't done it. It's The Rooted Heart Began to Change. Why this title?
I remember after the news that of my grandmother, since it was COVID, it was really difficult to see each other in Costa Rica because of the curfews and things they did, or I don't know if curfew is the right word, but they implemented it in a particular way. Anyway, it's not doesn't really matter now. The title comes from a poem. It was a poem I read the morning after my grandma died, which is The Weed by Elizabeth Bishop. I remember I was really moved by this poem in such a vulnerable moment for me. And the title of the book is a phrase that I found in this poem. There are fragments of the poem in the book, yes. There is, like in the beginning and in the end, there are a couple of fragments.
Allan has some workers around the house. I have some workers too here, and you have a cat, and Allan has some dogs, so probably is going to happen something during this record.
Let's hope not, but yeah.
Yeah, but also maybe yes. In the last, in one of the last episode, we had my cat purring for like 20 minutes, really strong, really close to the microphone. So
Grace.
The book starts with this picture.
That I feel it's an image that means a lot to me, and the story behind this image is quite complex. But I think seeing the tree, you know, the leaves of this tree that fell in this cliff, the cave, and the movement of the water, it really condenses a lot of the emotions that I was going through in this period of my life. And I remember taking this picture. For me was like a really meaningful event, full of omens in a way, because I had to walk through the mountain to get to this place for like 25 minutes, completely alone. And the moment I arrived, I found a dead sloth on the floor being eaten by other animals, other birds. I mean birds, and I had this strange feeling when I was doing it, and long story short, my camera got soaking wet. I got soaking wet. I got scared, and I started running back to the cart for 25 minutes through a mountain in the night. And I remember when I took this picture, I had the sense that it should be the first image of the book, and that's what I did.
Was this like you took this picture before or after your camera fell in the water?
This was the moment. Like I took the picture, and then a wave behind me just threw me to the rocks and soaked my camera. I was soaking wet, and after that, my camera lived in a bag full of rice for the rest of the project.
You said to me, of course you was joking, but that probably you like some of your pictures because of that, because your camera
yeah, I don't know,
was broken.
Yeah, it was really particular because it's like it was a really simple fixed lens camera, but after being wet and the lens being wet and everything being wet, it functions in a different way. Like it barely functions. Sometimes you try to shoot and it doesn't shoot, and then the lens is with fungi, so it's a little bit more hazy. I don't know. It meant a lot to me because it was the only camera I had at the time and the only one that I have available. So I had to do the project either way, and that's the one that I use.
So was this one the first absolutely picture that you shot for the project, or not? Or you shot it like later and then you thought, oh, maybe it could be the first one in the book?
No, I shot it later. It was I don't know how deep I was into the project, but it wasn't much. And maybe a couple of months that I was living there. And at the beginning, I was feeling completely lost, after, like, you are going through grief. People change when they are going through grief. I didn't have the motivation to do anything other than taking photographs. And the first months for me, I didn't actually use any of the photos of the first months because I was feeling completely lost, even when I was shooting. And these images were an exploration to see where I was heading with the project. And after a while, I started to land certain specific images like this one that made me realize the path I had to take to do the project.
Yeah, I have to say that it's a great picture to start with. It's I feel a bit like that hole that is black, you cannot see nothing inside. It's like swallowing the water, but also possibly can also swallow you, like the viewer.
Yeah, and for me, conceptually, it's about that. It's approaching the first image of the book as this entrance of this like broken landscape where there's like so many things going on, and just entering in this hall, it was entering to my grief in a way.
Why you decide to put this here, like as also like just after the title, because this is like an introduction image, then you have the title, and then the first things that you have is this poem.
You know, now that it's been a while, I'm trying to figure it out. I know for a fact that the part that says, "In the cold heart, its final thoughts stood frozen, drawn in mirrors and clear." It had so much symbolic meaning to me at the time, and I said, "Yeah, this has to be here." But now that I see it, I kind of think, I mean, maybe just like a simple introduction to the project, maybe setting a mood for the images that are to come, something like this.
Then we have some kind of recurring image in your practice that are horses.
Yeah, just I don't know. I feel really drawn to horses in general, just because of wild horses specifically. Just because of the fact that I think it's, I don't know, it would be beautiful to be on the woods, to be surrounded by nature all the time. Just, I don't know, dealing with a different kind of life, which is the dream that I have eventually.
I don't know, to me, like after the first one with the hole, the black hole, having this one, it's a bit like you are taking a picture of something wild, free, maybe without any thoughts, and it's a kind of freedom that is, I don't know, just an animal can have.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned it like this, because the way of making these images of the horses, there's a whole sequence of this pair of horses running. The way I made it, it was really entertaining for me. I think sometimes photography, and this is a discussion I had at Kranj with you, I remember. For me, photography, it's more than just making images. It's a tool for self-discovery in a way. And it's something you can do just to be entertained or for fun or to go through hard times. Like for me, the project was all about doing something while I was going through grief. At the beginning, I was just doing the images for myself. Like I didn't have any plans to, I don't know, be a photographer in a traditional sense, or just make a book or whatever, right? I remember I started to doing the images because I was overwhelmed about the things that I was feeling, that I needed a route to escape. And I remember moments like this one with the horse were profoundly special to me, just because I remember I was in this mountain seeing these horses, and they kind of approached me, but they start to run. So I was running with them in this field. And it's funny how you put it, because in a way it made me feel like I belonged somewhere else, like not in the reality of a human, but just in the reality of another horse, being through the woods and photographing them, and just like me chasing them, they running back to me in a way. It made it special.
Yeah, but I think it's magical in some way, and it's something that happened quite a lot in photography, that sometimes you're working to a project, and also you take random pictures, and it happens sometimes that a random pictures, if you watch it later, can has a lot of meaning for the project you are in.
Yeah, that I think it's just the idea of taking pictures for fun for me in moments that are so tragic, or just not for fun, but just taking images helped me immensely. And when I think about moments like this one or other moments in the book, for me, my experience taking the images, it's far more important than the images themselves. Like when I describe this book, I describe it as a diary in a way, because it's just a recording of my experiences through grief. And that's what I cherish the most about this project, that I can always go back to see what I was doing, how I was feeling when I was doing these images. Because for me, sometimes it's really hard to think about the past in events themselves, but I usually think in an emotional sense. Sometimes I don't remember the things that I said or the things that happened, but I remember how I felt at the time that those things happen. And for me, the book is this in a way.
Then we have a fire. But
conceptually, the sequence of the images was built in a really logical manner for me. But I mean, we all think differently, of course. And for me, it was this simple idea of there is this cave, you enter this cave, and the images are like flashes of memory for me. So the flash comes and you see the horses, and then another flash and you see the fire. So you start to relate them. You say, okay, the horses maybe were running from this fire. So what's up to come after the fire? And to start to build it in a, I don't know, kind of like flashes of memory, not maybe a story, but something around it.
But I remember we spoke about it in Kranj, and I also remember that you told me that you made like, I don't know, a lot of dummies for this book.
Yeah, I did like, I don't know, maybe like 20 something versions of this sequence in dummies. This is FREDDY. He is one of the persons that I photographed the most, and I met him while doing the project, and it was a really strange encounter I have with him. I usually go through really, I don't know, like dirt roads or really hard roads to traverse by car, and I start to see houses and the people that live around, and I remember I saw this like really simple house that he built himself in a nice flat area in the middle of a mountain, and I approached him and we started speaking, and one thing led to the other. We became friends. I started to go more often. I photographed him. I mean, he was a really lonely man. He lives by himself in the mountain with no running water or no electricity. So it was, I don't know, like the person that meant the most while I was doing the project that I met in this area that was significant to me in my childhood. And when I saw him, like, he reminded me so much about myself, like his body and the way he expressed himself. So we instantly became friends. To this day, I still go to all of his birthday parties. Every time I take a portrait of him, we see each other each time I'm around there, because it's like 2 hours from my home. But yeah, this is FREDDY standing almost at the top of the mountain where he lives.
I want to ask you how much like patience need to be FREDDY with you, because I saw you taking pictures and you can take some time for take a picture.
Yeah, Freddy, I think it's he really enjoys it. Like he really likes being photographed, so it's easy, and he's super patient, Gaudi. I will give some context. Last year I was staying with Gaudi and Kami, and I went to photograph with Gaudi more than once, and sometimes I see a lot and don't photograph much, and just stare at things and wait until I feel it's right to take an image. And Freddy completely understands it. Like he just waits for the image to be taken as well, and sometimes it's a faster process, but most of the time we just sit there in silence and wait until I something clicks in me, and then we make the image.
And why you decide to have this picture of Freddy like showing the back, the shoulders?
Yeah, sometimes it's like this. It's like giving for me it was like giving the back to certain things that relate to nature, but being in nature yourself, and it's like giving the back to the horses, giving the back to the fire, and staring somewhere else, like the problems that are happening to, I don't know, other problems that are happening around you don't exist. Sometimes when you are going through grief, you are just like in this big I don't know how to say it in English, this big
you can say in Spanish.
I was going to use a word that is really specific to Costa Rica. I was going to say matorral, but yeah, matorral, let's say matorral.
And what is Freddy watching?
Like physically or conceptually?
I'm pushing a bit with you because I know you have the reply. Maybe not all the time, but I think 95% of the times. No, as you like, conceptually.
Yeah, just staring into his own grief for me. You know, Freddy is a person that has a big history with other things that are going to come up as we go through the book. So we can mention it in different parts. But yeah, I mean, it's just when you go through something like death, what do you experience? Where do you feel? I feel surrounded by all of this like chaos, and you feel lost, and you try to see a glimpse of something else behind the reality you're living. I mean, for me, it's really specific when I see this image that what I was going through. Yeah, this is a place where people take like there's a company that takes raw material to build houses and stuff. So yeah, all of the images are from Costa Rica. Love this image, and the person behind it, it's the only person that I knew before the project began. He used to sell wooden furniture, and I remember being a kid and playing around all the furniture he had outside his house, like just in the open air, or around the slabs of wood and everything. And when I decided to go back to this place, he was the first person I went to visit, because the last time that I had seen him, I was a child. I was probably, I don't know, maybe 8, or 9. So it has been like 20 years, something like this, since I last seen him. And yeah, I mean, just the emotional connection with him, and we had a brief conversation, and I left, and I haven't seen him again ever since. Yeah, he's a man that has worked his whole life with his hands. His body has been injured 100 times doing this. The last time I saw him, he was recently hospitalized because a slab of wood almost cut him in half. And he's, yeah, I mean, some of these people are the embodiment of pain in different ways, and all of the subjects that I photograph in a way remind me of myself. So
then we have some wire.
if you see the images of my new work, there are a lot of recurring themes in general.
Yeah,
I don't know why I have these obsessions with elements, and I photograph them over and over again. So barbed wire is one of those things I photograph. I don't know. I can have like 100 photographs of barbed wire, and there is some. I mean, horses, fires. You know what? The remember the card with my info.
yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Those are all the things that are behind my work and myself.
Yeah, but it's interesting because it's a messy, like barbed wire. It's messy, and at the same time, there is like it's full of holes, but at the same time, there is not enough space for go through.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like you cannot physically traverse or go through it, but it's like this contained chaos in a way, and I mean, everything returns to grief in a sense, right? It's like, how do you manage to go through certain things related to death? It's really difficult. I'm still dealing with a lot of doubts about death, about life, about grief, and I hope someday I manage to stop feeling so doubtful about these things, but I find it really hard at the moment. And I think I photograph way more animals than I do people these days.
I like this.
This was this was the first time that I did a trip with my dad after the heart attack, and it was a really symbolic day because we're going through the mountain searching for the place that he was born in, because he was born in a super small town of like maybe 8 families in the 50s in the middle of the mountains. Like, I remember it. He used to tell me that it took him 2 days by horse each time he wanted to go to a different town. So we went searching for this town, and we found it. There are only 3 families living there now, and it was really emotional, just like seeing my dad in the place he was born.
I want to ask you why you choose to make this book only with vertical images.
It's, I don't know. Before I start taking photography seriously, I was only photographing horizontally. And when I was doing this project as part of like a challenge to myself and to keep me entertained in a way, I started to take only vertical images. I said, let's do something you haven't done before, and I got obsessed with it to the point that I now only mostly do vertical photography. I don't know. I think I remember when I saw this house, though, I really wanted to live in that place. You know, like I felt it was perfect for me. It was just like this small place surrounded by nature where I could just like exist and photograph, and it was my dream to live in this house, so I photographed it.
You mention it a lot of time. You have this like research of this house in the middle of nothing, and this seems really that house.
Yeah, now my ideas of the house have changed, not quite dramatically, but I'm on a different place that I was before. But either way, for me, it's still my dream, just to be disconnected of I don't know, not just being disconnected of everything and just living in like a simple life is the dream that I follow. This is a photograph I took of my dad um, briefly after his heart attack, and I don't know, it was really symbolic to me. My parents used to have they still have these birds, but there was a certain point where they were like free on the room, right? And they just lived with them. They coexisted with them. And I remember one morning I went to see them, and my dad was holding this bird, and he was holding it so close to his chest and to his heart, and seeing him like this, it felt really tender to me, really symbolic as well. Yeah, which is a recurring theme. Like hands, of course, in general for me are something really symbolic, and I photograph them all over and over again. But yeah, it's true. It's like this big hand, like rough hand, but at the same time you see it's missing a finger, and then the bird, it's like in a branch, right? Just holding to this other finger, coexisting with this person who almost passed away. It's like it's a mix of a lot of things, like this small bird. And then more Freddy.
More Freddy.
Yeah, Freddy climbing a mountain, and we took this portrait, which he really likes. It's one of his favorites. And this tree, that it's really interesting to see how things change with time when you do a project, because you register in time, right? And this tree no longer exists, and it was a huge tree. Like the photograph doesn't make it. No le hace justice, doesn't make justice to the tree, but it was overwhelming to see in person, and now it's something that no longer is there. So yeah, he's my uncle. There, when I now that we are revisiting these images, because I must be truthful, I don't revisit this project at all, right? Now less that I've been working on my new body of work, but it's really nice to see how this project and the next one relate. Just going through these images, because he is a really tender man, but he was attacked when he was younger, while he was working in the banana plantations. Yeah, in the banana plantations in Costa Rica. He was attacked by his roommate, let's say, because there are these compounds where people stay. And after a night out, when my uncle entered the room, his roommate had a machete, right? And he hit him in the skull, in the head, with the machete. And this left him with last longing. Last longing is how you say it. But yeah, with repercussions, right? And with mobility and with speech. And he's, of course, a different person since this event. And I think about the project, and I think about the violence, and I think about the new ideas I'm working on, and they are completely correlated in a way. Like, it's funny for me to think that I'm always working around the same ideas. And yeah, he's still alive. He has a really long life. He's my oldest uncle, and he's like around 90.
It seems like fire.
It is. It's fire on a distance. I don't know why at this period, every time I saw smoke, because it was dry season in Costa Rica, so there are fires, of course. And every time I saw smoke on the sky, I used to drive there to photograph, and yeah, I did it plenty of times. So I was always seeing the firefighters at the same places and the same firefighters. So probably it was a bit suspicious for them. We had a laugh about it, but
yeah, could be. I really like the story behind this picture.
No, it's a simple story. Going back to again the same ideas of violence and everything. My father is missing a thumb since he was maybe like, well, he was really young, and he had some decisions to make that ended up ended in this, like he missing this thumb. Maybe I won't go into it. And he's holding the caskets of bullets, or the remaining of bullets that were found in my mother's car once when they shoot, and my mother was in a car, and these are the remainings of the caskets, and my mother, hopefully she's alive, and so we made this picture together the morning after this happened, because after the police went through the car just to gather evidence, right? They forgot a lot of these ones inside the car, and my father was picking them up, and we made the photograph.
Yeah, there is also a connection between like chance and choice in some way. That is,
it's a really nice way to put it, Gabriel. Yeah.
The life mainly, like it's made of choice and chance together, and maybe you can think you can control it in some way, but
yeah. Going through this narrative of flashes, of images flashing, or memories for me flashing in a way, right? Because I can go through an experience of being with my dad, picking up these bullet fragments together, and then having flashbacks of not being connected with the reality that I was in, and just being like dreaming of being in nature in a way that it's different.
And is this your father, right? On the right?
Or no, it's Freddy.
It's Freddy again.
Freddy again.
But I like the fact that in these pictures, like in the one of the bird also, you see these male bodies with this hand of people that worked a lot with a lot of strength, but at the same time, and also is like holding a rifle. But there are some kindness in the gesture.
Yeah, and it's the contraposition of the bird, right? It's like, because if you see both pictures, like you cannot see the thumb, so you can maybe make a connection between them, and the finger, it's placed like the finger where the bird was. It's here it's placed in a similar manner, and it's just like the opposite of it, right? It's like no shirt. The photo of my dad, right? It's like no shirt and tender and nature, and then you see like this landscape that it's like it's eerie in a way, and then you see this man holding this gun, just like I don't know, a good pair between the images of hands that are going through the project, I think.
Also, dogs are things that are really common in your pictures.
Yeah, I take a lot of pictures of dogs. Maybe not so much as other animals, but I have some dogs around, and it's I'm sure you want me to talk about this one. That's right.
No, as you like. We can also skip as you feel.
No, it's okay. It's just I found this knot in a, how do you say this, in a place called Cerro de la Muerte, which will translate to, I don't know how you translate Cerro, but it's like hill of death, mountain of death, whatever. And I was just walking through the mountain, and I found the belongings of a person, and I found a small mirror hanging in a tree, and some shoes and some stuff, and the rope was with all of these things, being ready for something that you don't commit to.
Yeah.
In a place that is so symbolic through its name. So
Also, this one is really sad.
yeah, that animals are always hitters for me, and I try to. I'm really conflicted about photographing death in general and dead animals. I try to do it in a dignifying way, because I don't know. I think there are really heartless images of death and raw images of death, and I understand death can mean a lot of things to different people, but for me specifically, I try to dignify it in a way. Like I don't know. I don't really like the scene, the explicit and rough death. It's necessary at times, of course, but I think everyone should be like dignified in death in a way. It's about death, you know, that thing, the relationship between sleeping and death. I remember somewhere, I don't know why, where, maybe it was in a YouTube video, like a random YouTube video, but someone was talking about death, and he said something like, death is just, no, sleep is just death being shy, right? Kind of reminds me of this one.
This is one of the few pictures where you can see really a face.
But yeah, he's a man that I met on the road. He had an accident. We were talking about it. He showed me his scar in his eye because he had surgery, and I mean his cheekbone, and yeah, he told me that if I wanted to take a photograph of it, and said of course. So we took it, and we part ways. His name was René.
René.
Yeah, probably is René still. I hope he is still around. Yeah.
Is this one the same place of the first one?
It's the same coast, a different place. But you can have a sense, like an idea of how rough the sea was around this time of the year, because now we stopped being in dry season and we were in the rainy season. And yeah, it's some kilometers away, but it was. I'm always photographing this ocean when storms are approaching. In a way,
I cannot understand where the waves are going. It's a bit chaotic.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's like this big confusion, and the ocean itself being so powerful.
We saw it before, right?
Yeah, the only difference is the eyes. That in the first image, Freddy has his eyes closed. Now he opens them. I don't know. I think it had to do something about just like after going through grief or whatever. Like grief is the thing that you go through, and you think you're done, and then you come back to it, and blah. But it's like opening your eyes to other things in general, waking up from a dream. You know, the idea of the small animal that it's like or sleeping or death, and Freddy with his eyes closed, and all of this stuff. It's just a way of talking about the same things, right? Like grief, death, being conscious about what's going on or not. Because when I did the project, for me it was really strange. Like I used to sometimes wake up super in the morning. Sometimes I woke up at 4 o'clock in the evening. Sometimes I had breakfast. Sometimes I didn't. The only consistent thing for me was the need to photograph. And I remember I was going out every single day, and I was forcing myself to take a photograph that I was happy with when I returned home. Like just finding a reason to live, like literally. And when I see like this relationship of images, when I did this sequence, like I remember after a while you feel like you're waking up from this dream and approaching reality in a different manner. So maybe taking a little bit more care of myself, or not being so compulsive and obsessive with certain things. So I decided to put it as a reminder of it.
Why you
I think
decide to put just this text and nothing else about the your experience or the project?
because for me, like, it wasn't at the time that important to do something like the things we're doing today, right? Like talking more about the images, explaining them. I think the book itself, it's just condensed memories of my time through grief, and I wanted to people to experience the book in their own personal way, just building their own relationship between images, and I don't know, just having their own interpretation of the work in general. So I decided not to put any sort of explanation in the work. Just let it live different lives with different people. It's funny to see this last image because the person that I took this image with already passed away. So yeah, it's a bit emotional just to see the night sky, and this was the last time I saw this person. So it's fairly particular. This idea of sleeping forever, right? The same thing we're going through, and sleeping through the night. This night that is like through the top of the trees in a way. But yeah, it's quite strange for me to think about this image, how I conceived it at the time, and thinking that the person that that was with me in this mountain at the time is no longer physically with us. Yeah, I think the project itself, I mean, it's meant a lot to me when I did it, and it still means a lot to me seeing it. And I'm really happy that you invited me to the podcast, because if you hadn't invited me, maybe I wouldn't have seen it right now in such an important time for me when I am working on the second book.
Do you want to speak a bit about it, your new project?
Yeah, my new project is named THORNS, and it's basic. I came up with the title of this project while I was showcasing this work after we met, for instance, and I started to go to. I went to some mountains in Spain, and I remember seeing all these thorns all around me, and I said, "This is the title of my new project." It reminded me of a song that I like as well, and it's a project about protection, about our need to protection, and how in the act of protecting ourselves we can harm others, other people, other things. So yeah, it's a small introduction to it, but maybe when it's out we can discuss about it. Right now it's super early because I'm working on the dummies still. I'm doing the sequence, and you know how I am with this. I've become more critical of the way I approach this since I work on this book, right? Because the first book for me, it was the first time I was approaching photography in general. It was the first time I felt really naive when I was doing the sequence, and everything was different then. So I don't have like something I could show something, but it's just like dummies in general. Like maybe not something that it's going to be the end product of course.
Yeah, I saw it, and I have to say that it can be really beautiful.
Thank you.
It's gonna be really beautiful.
I hope so. We can come back to this and
yeah, but
let's overwrite.
Also the dummy that I saw, of course, like it's a dummy, but can be a dream to be able to produce a book in that way.
Yeah, that's what I'm hopeful for. Recently, I'm just working on this. I team up with two really close friends, and we made a studio. Because my dream it's to make books, not my books, but other people's books. And what a way to begin this journey than with my own book and figuring out everything that we have to figure out, because making a publishing house from Latin America specifically, it's kind of nightmarish, but it's the challenge that we have set up for ourselves, and I hope later this year everyone can see the new book. Thank you, Gabrielito.
So now I have to say that it was beautiful to meet you there. Especially, we spoke a lot about our project in Kranj with again Agat Kalfas, Matthias, Mohamed, you. And I remember that when we were there, you were waiting for the book. Yeah, but I think
the vision of the book has changed me in general, and I'm super grateful, with everyone who was part of this process. The people that was in my life around this time, my colleagues from Folio, PH Museum, Wittybooks. They all have a special place in my heart.
I think it's really hard to define completely a shape of a project in a book.
Yeah, and I think we're constantly changing. I mean, even from the moment you send the book to print into the moment you receive it, things can change drastically in a person. Like, I believe the book, it's what it had to be. I think it works, and it works for me because it is a reminder of who I was at the moment that I published this book. And we become more critical in time, our tastes change, and we want different things. But I think it's really important to keep these like kind of objects as a reminder of who I was at a certain moment in life. So yeah, I just I'm happy to have the opportunity and the privilege to work with such a great group of people, making such a great group of friends, because it's things like this that make you think about how absurd life is in general, right? It's like we became close friends just because these things happened, right? It's like if you hadn't go through the things you've been through, and I hadn't go through the things that I've been through, we wouldn't be speaking to each other today, because that's how absurd life is. We just met one day in the Kranj in Slovenia, out of nowhere.
Thanks, Fernanda, again.
Yeah, shout out to Fernanda. A visionary. Fernanda's a visionary for me. It's true.
Yeah, she is. It's a beautiful festival, a small, beautiful festival.
Yeah.
Allan, I want to ask you a song of a record or a playlist to watch your book.
Okay, so recently I've been listening to one song on repeat while I'm working on my new book, and I didn't knew this song when I worked on The Road Heart Began to Change. But if I had, it would have been the song that I had on repeat, because it's a song that explores similar themes as the book, the theme of mortality and family history in a way. So the song is called What Happened to Your Heart by Peter Broderick. But it's like, the title, it's a little bit strange. It's like What Happened to Your Heart, and then it's like part 2 by Peter Broderick. That's the song I will recommend someone to listen to if they're into the themes around the...
One song for all your book.
You put it on repeat.
Amazing.
That's what I've been doing.
Yeah, I'm a bit obsessive too with the music, so I understand it. and you know that.
Yeah.
And then
I know.
the last question is, do you want to suggest us a book for a next episode?
Yeah. Okay. You put me on the spot like now. You know, which book would be interesting that I like? The book that you, Cami, Joel, and Marisol gifted me.
Yeah, it's an amazing book.
Epitome by Big Bacon.
Yeah, it could be amazing. You have to see if it's possible, but I would love to do it a lot. Could be nice to do it together.
I remember like no expectations at all. I didn't know anything about this book, and can you hear that, the honking of a
just slightly.
the train?
Nice.
Okay, yeah, it's a train on the distance. I remember you gifted me this book, and I was really moved by a lot of the images inside this book. I think it's an important body of work in many different aspects, and yeah, it will be really interesting to hear just a conversation around these images as well.
I'm happy to hear that, because I know how much it's difficult that you like a book. And like giving that book as a gift for your birthday, I was a bit scared. Like, are we sure?
It was perfect. I see it all the time. Love the postcard that it's inside. It was a strange and beautiful day.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
So thanks so much, Allan. It was a beautiful, 1 hour and something. And see you soon with the next book here, and hope like sooner in the real life.
Yeah, I hope we can see each other this year, and I'm really happy that you invited me to this. Of course, I feel really lucky to call you my friend. I'm really happy that we did this episode after people like Carla and Marisol, and just thank you. It was important for me to revisit these images in a way, and that's it.
Yeah, I think it could be important also, like connecting this work to the next one.
Yeah, which is something that it's kind of happening. So, thanks, Gabrielito.
So, thanks to everybody. If you like it, remember to subscribe and to comment what you think about Allan in general as a human being. No, I'm joking.
Please don't, but thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much to everybody. Thank you, Allan. Ciao, ciao.